The cloud. It sounds fluffy and soft, amorphous, remote, floating above the world. Run it in the cloud, we say, a modern metaphor. But we once had another name, a more descriptive name for using someone else's computer. We called it time sharing. Today, we mix the idea of using someone else's computer with the concept of a network and call the combination the cloud, imagining we have invented something new. But it isn't so new after all. Beginning in the 1960s, a company created a successful business making remote computer services available inexpensively to anyone via a network built for that purpose. In doing so, they created the first cloud. They created also the first network. They called it TimeNet, and the company was TimeShare. But what does the ancient world of timesharing have to do with modern cloud systems such as Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, or cloud operating systems such as OpenStack? Not to mention containers, Kubernetes, and OpenShift. The answer is everything. In the 1960s, computers were expensive, and dedicating an entire computer to a single task was prohibitively so. The idea of virtualizing user space across multiple users made it possible to utilize a single shared resource more efficiently. Today, our much more powerful computers benefit from the same concept, virtualizing not just user space, but the entire application and all of its environment in a way that makes the incremental cost of adding another virtual machine insignificant. Modern cloud environments are nothing more than the logical application of work begun in the 1950s to today's far more powerful computers. Timeshare did not invent timesharing. Instead, the scientists and businessmen of timeshare built upon theoretical work begun in 1954 by John Backus at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. MIT, more than any other organization, created timesharing. Others further contributed to the idea pool, notably Bob Beamer in 1957 and W.F. Bauer in 1958. These men and others developed the ideas and concepts that were to become timesharing, but translating their ideas into a working, usable system proved challenging. Several early experimental platforms emerged in the first half of the 1960s with varying degrees of success. John McCarthy initiated the first project to create a timesharing system at MIT in 1959. He called it Compatible Timesharing System, CTSS, and first demonstrated a working prototype on an IBM 709 mainframe in November of 1961. The University of Illinois demonstrated Programmed Logic for Teaching Operations, PLATO, or PLATO, on an ELIAC 1 in 1961 as well, although it was a more specialized type of system. RAND deployed the JONIAC Open Shop System, or JOSS, at RAND in January of 1964. It was able to support 5 terminals. The first genuinely successful system was Dartmouth Timesharing System, DTSS, which began initial operations May 1, 1964. Tom O'Rourke and Dave Schmidt used DTSS in demonstrations as they crafted plans and sought funding to create their dream company. They launched their company based on the radical idea of offering computer services to aerospace professionals. But DTSS ran on General Electric hardware, and GE refused to sell them a computer. They turned to a research project known as Project Genie at UC Berkeley, which had, as a part of the project, an unfinished prototype timesharing operating system. In 1965, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory procured a new CDC 6600 supercomputer, and one of the first projects became, under the direction of Norm Hardy, the implementation of a timesharing and networking system first known as Octopus, but which later became the Livermore Timesharing System. His wife, Ann Hardy, received her first taste of the power of a timeshared system via teletype on her desk. In 1966, Dave and Tom's tiny startup announced their intent to provide timeshared computer services to Silicon Valley scientists and engineers. Ann called and boldly suggested they should hire her to write their operating system. They did. Anne Hardy turned the fragile laboratory toy that was the experimental Berkeley time-sharing system into a robust, business-ready platform. Her system became the first to pass the comprehensive Harvard acceptance test in 1967, besting all other candidates. The result, in addition to a reliable time-sharing system robust enough for commercial use, was a worldwide network infrastructure delivering computer services to users anywhere in the world. Other innovators built upon the platform, notably Leroy Times, and together they created the network that became TimeNet. Many others contributed, especially John O. Koff, who developed the network operating system known as ISIS. TimeNet became the first commercial cloud offering information services worldwide from many network service providers to network subscribers everywhere. Anne's version of BTSS was the first commercially viable time-sharing system that ran on relatively inexpensive hardware. Numerous other companies licensed Timeshare's version of BTSS and went into the time-sharing business as well. Timeshare's network proved a commanding competitive advantage, and as a result, Timeshare acquired many of those competitors. Timeshare brought the idea of timesharing out of academia, powered the first networking revolution, built TimeNet, the first cloud, and made shared, network-based computing resources available to anyone. In my book, The Time Before, I tell the in-depth story of how it all happened.